I've always been interested in the idea of illusion. And so as a child, I was one of those nerdy kids who would perform magic tricks in front of his parents, and they would patiently watch me muck it up. I was really taken by the films of Jim Henson, Dark Crystal and Labyrinth and those sort of things when I was a teenager. But I did graphic design, and certainly when I did it, it was quite a broad course. There wasn't, I think we had one computer to set some type in second year, and the rest was fairly hands-on. One of my experiences on Star Wars, which I was lucky to work on, it was filming in Sydney. This is Revenge of the Sith, so the last of the terrible lot. But one of the more interesting days was when I made the animatronics for a Neimoidian. It's one of the easily forgotten background alien characters, and it had lots of dialogue, but it was a bit of a test, and we weren't quite sure whether George Lucas would like it, so we had to meet him after shooting that day in his office. And so I was the maker of the animatronics, but I was also the person that had to wear the head. So I remember sitting there nervously in his office, waiting for him to come, and he finally came off set. We were all sort of nervously waiting. It's the first time I get to meet George Lucas. You know, whenever you see someone famous on set, you kind of look the other way because you're either being cool or you're not meant to stare at them. And to have him stare at my eyes and stare back at him through this little slit and run the performance was all pre-recorded. But he was really nice and didn't say much. Said, "Yeah, sure, great," and that was the end. But it was definitely a highlight for me as a young animatronics maker. So my career started in film and TV, but it's actually morphed into live entertainment now in the last decade. We're doing really quite nice special effects and animatronics, and so I had an opportunity to bring that across into a live setting with Walking with Dinosaurs, which was an arena tour of very large dinosaurs parading around an arena. So we had the great opportunity to produce mascots for the Sochi Winter Olympics. These were enormous creatures, and the central one was a giant bear, and then there was a leopard, and then there was a rabbit. We had very little time. We only had 9 months. We got the call really late. We pushed through production, and then we get this call, the leopard, it has to be bigger. What do you mean it has to be bigger? Turns out that each one of these characters represented someone very important in Russian politics. The leopard represented Putin. Anyway, they found out that the leopard wasn't as tall as the bear. And we said, "We don't have time." And they said, "No, you just have to make this happen." So we'd virtually completed the structure of the leopard, and we had to put it aside and build from scratch an entirely new frame that was 10% bigger, so that the leopard was the same height as the bear. And I just think it's a lovely story and a testament to the vanity of world leaders. I kind of miss the fun of working on a film set. Things only had to last a day or a week, and you could be off camera holding it together with a bit of gaffer tape or a bit of string. When you make things for live shows, it has to be really robust and really well considered, and it has to last. That's kind of scary. CGI has really removed a lot of the work that we used to do. I think it's a bit of a pity. I don't think I would have been involved in film and TV as much if that was the case when I was starting out. I think at the same time though, there's a lot of pushback against computer graphics. I think people kind of like the idea that when they see a creature or an effect that it was real. They get something out of knowing that it was actually built or had physical entity. There's no doubt about it. The amount of physical effects in animatronics in film has probably reduced to about 10% of what it used to be when I first started out. We do have some setbacks every now and then. It's actually more in the implementation of them. We've had heads fall off creatures in front of 10,000 people. It's funny enough, when creatures fail in our live shows and people are seeing a live show, and I guess they in some ways appreciate that things can go wrong. A couple of times we've had creatures just completely fall flat and people had to scurry on and push them off, and these are massive things, like they're multi-ton things, but they get cheered off like fallen gladiators, like a footballer that has an injury. So in some ways that sort of stuff can work for you, and the audience think, well, I saw something kind of unique and new.